I want to cross over to Mombasa, where Peter Mwangangi is, and will be giving us some conversation there to be in regards to exports and imports, which is a significant part of our economy, because the balance currently is against Kenya's favor. We've got imports not being balanced with exports. So Mwangangi, tell us what you have from your end.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. We are at the Awanad Container Freight Station in Changamwe, that is in the county of Mombasa. And today we are focusing on export and import of cargo here at the port of Mombasa, as well as the country at large. And when we came here, already some activity going on right behind us. Some containers being moved and being handled at this particular facility. And also, actually, right behind us, we found some Kenya Revenue Authority officers already conducting 100% verification of one of the containers here. Of course, in terms of this particular business, they are called the 20 TEUs, or the 20 equivalent units here, and they were conducting that verification to ensure that the goods that have been declared in the manifest when they were being shipped in are the ones that are actually in that container. It's an activity that goes on for almost all cargo that comes to the through the port of Mombasa. And remember, the container freight stations were established to ensure that they decongest the port of Mombasa. They are involved in handling cargo. And right now I want to speak to Mr. Benardict Awiti, who is the director of Awanad Container Freight Stations. And today I want to talk about how the business has been for the last 5 years. First of all, what exactly do you do at Awanad?
Okay, Peter, we are a container freight station, which means basically we deal with container handling and efficiency of the cargo. So basically we're an extension of the port. When you bring your cargo, KPA gives it to us so that we can store and do the handling over here before onward transportation and to the various clients.
Other people deal with containers and vehicles. Do you deal with both or just one?
We deal with both containers, we deal with units, vehicles, we deal with both.
Talk to us about exports and imports. Which of those have you been handling more, and what goods exactly have you been handling for clients?
Mostly we deal with imports. I would say imports make up 90% of the cargo we receive. And in terms of the items and the products, it's various. We could get from electronic goods, hardwares, and even cars inside containers. So basically we deal also, we cannot really give a preference on one.
And the 10% you handle about exports, what exactly are these goods that you handle?
We have a lot of raw materials going out of the country. We have manganese ore, for example, which is being mined in Kilifi. We have some plants coming in, and mostly it's raw materials, would say, because most cargo coming in, they go back with empty containers. So we find that the raw materials, they are better for transporting longer distances.
In terms of the growth of this particular business, in terms of exports and imports, has there been an increase or a decrease? What can you say?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. For us, we could say that there's been a slight decrease, but in terms of cargo coming in, mostly because of the political situation in the country, which affected us. We find most importers don't want to bring in goods and they don't know the situation of the country, the tension and all that. So we find that the last 3 to 4 months, the cargo has been a bit it's dropped a bit, especially during the election period, all the way up to maybe just yesterday, the inauguration of the president.
Last week, the Kenya Ports Authority released statistics for business in terms of cargo that they've handled in the first 9 months of 2017 as compared to the same period last year. And they said there was a 10% growth in terms of the cargo that passed through the port of Mombasa. Would you say the same has been for Awanad?
KPA handles a lot of cargo. I would say that the information is correct, but we would have done more, because comparing the period, you can't really say the situation. But the period must be affected with politics, and that's the reason why. But I'd say we'd handle more. We've handled more, but we could handle even more.
Yes. And maybe my final question is about the challenges that you have seen in the last 5 years, and also going forward in the next 5 years. We've seen the government trying to introduce the standard gauge railway. We understand the freight service will start operating next year. What do you think that will be in terms of one of the challenges, and what would you be calling on the government to do?
Well, the SGR is there, and it will reduce our revenue, actually our cargo. We are looking at with the SGR is all going to be about service. Let me just be honest with you, because we are giving clients customized service, a better service as a company. We are ensuring your cargo. We are giving you container handling. The systems are okay. So basically, we will want a situation whereby we give a good rate also to our clients, and I think it will not affect us that much. But also, as the government is putting a lot of infrastructure in place, we expect that to also affect our cargo capacity and our cargo population.
Maybe very quickly before we conclude and we go to the next guest is about infrastructure and government legislation. What would you say about that?
I would urge the government to engage more of the importers, because we want to get more importation. And as I can see, the government needs to engage the private agencies. They need to engage the importers, find out what their challenges are. Let the importers tell them terms of tariff, terms of the rate, terms of the duties. And
cross back to Peter Mwangangi. We signal is back up, where he'll be having another conversation on that end, taking us back to the talk on exports and imports. Mwangangi.
Thank you, Dan. Indeed, just before we went to Nakuru, we were talking about the business here at the port of Mombasa, as well as at the container freight stations, and we heard from Awanad on how the business has been for the last 5 years and what they would like to see in the next 5 years. And now with me I have one of the officials from the container freight station associations. Tell us, what are some of the challenges you would say you have seen from the other operators of the container freight stations here in Mombasa over the last 5 years?
Well, thank you. I wouldn't say that we've had more challenges, but we are just urging the government agencies to be involved in the CFS operators and on any development that is coming in, that is in terms of logistics, because we've had SGR coming in place, and you find that most of the CFS operators have not been involved. So we just urge our government people to do so, and then we may be able to assist in some of solutions of business.
And in terms of other government agencies helping and assisting in clearance of cargo efficiently, would you say there have been satisfactory developments on that side?
Well, we have the KRA people who have been helping in terms of cargo clearance. We've not had our members, that is the clearing people, complaining about it. So as CFS operators, we've been handling the clearing people, and we won't say that we've had any issues on that. Yes.
And maybe the last one about infrastructure. And you guys are involved in transporting this cargo from Mombasa to other parts of the country and other parts of East Africa. Would you say that the infrastructure that we have currently is satisfactory?
Yes, I would say so, because right now you can see the road that have been constructed, and it's our hope as CFS operators that we're going to have a simple or rather easy way of transporting our cargo, that is from Port of Mombasa to our CFS operations places. And we want to say that it's a plus to the government that is taking care of the CFS operators and any other person who is doing cargo transfer in Mombasa and the country. Yeah.
Thank you for talking to us about what CFS operators here in Mombasa think about the business, and of course they are saying they would like to see more engagement from the government in terms of new developments such as the standard gauge railway. Remember that the freight service is said to start operating in next year, and they would like to see that. Also, they would like to contribute in that business and see also the benefit in terms of the business that comes through the port of Mombasa. That is all from Mombasa. done. Of course, operations are still ongoing here, containers being moved from one place to another. Just the normal operations that go on at the container freight station as well as the port of Mombasa. And of course, we'll continue to hear more from stakeholders what they think about this particular business. For now, over to you, Dan.